Hello there, I am Anami and I am a holistic intimacy and relationship expert. Don't do your Kegels. How many times as a woman have you heard the phrase, women, do your Kegels? Well, I'm telling you not to do them. First of all, let's clarify what is a Kegel exercise. Well, this was a set of steps that was designed by Dr. Arnold Kegel, the OBGYN, in 1947 to strengthen the pelvic floor of women. Now, we'll talk about Kegel and his exercises in a moment, but first, why would you want to have a strong vagina and pelvic floor? The pelvic floor supports all of your internal organs. When it's strong and supple, it creates a lift in the body, pulling up and holding everything where it ought to be. When the pelvic floor is weak, things start to collapse, leading to everything from urinary incontinence to a loss of sensitivity in all of your reproductive areas. When your pelvic floor is strong and toned, you'll experience all kinds of benefits like more pleasure. If the vagina is weak, it's also numb, and if it's numb, you can't feel anything there. Most women have no idea the level of sensitivity and ecstasy that's available to them with a toned and supple vagina. One of the fastest results that women feel when they strengthen the pelvic floor is an increase in their libido. Profuse lubrication. Circulation equals lubrication. When you exercise the pelvic floor, you increase oxygen and blood flow. This is the one big reason why women have lubrication issues, having a weak vagina. Eliminate urinary incontinence. This isn't some necessary part of aging. It's the direct result of having a weak pelvic floor. You'll prevent and heal POP, or pelvic organ prolapse. One of my favorites, you'll create a natural facelift. So when you strengthen and pull up the pelvic floor muscles, you create an energetic lift through the entire body, which even registers in the face. I have had clients stop using Botox after beginning a vaginal weightlifting practice. You'll integrate your life force into everything that you do. Women are dissociated from their vaginas and their reproductive areas because they can't feel them. So they're also cut off from the flow of their natural, creative, and enlivening life force energy. So when the vagina is brought back to life, resuscitated, then that vital life force energy is available to you to channel into all parts of your existence. And last but not least, you'll be able to shoot ping pong balls. This is every woman's God-given right. Now that we've established that a strong pelvic floor is essential for every woman, let's go back to Dr. Kegel. So, like I said, in 1947, Kegel designed these exercises to strengthen the pelvic floors of women. The main purpose was to prevent urinary incontinence. So he was very successful with this. He had a 93% success rate, which is amazing. And his technique was to use a device that he called the Kegel perinometer that went inside the vagina. And a woman would contract and isolate different areas of the pelvic floor muscles and the vaginal canal. So this device strengthened these areas by providing two very important elements. One, resistance, and two, feedback. These are the requirements for any strengthening, weightlifting, weight training practice. So here's the problem. When other doctors began adapting his work, they left out the most important feature, having a device inside the vagina. So yes, folks, they told women to just go randomly flap their vaginas in the wind, and they said that's a Kegel exercise, but it's actually not. This is the equivalent to me going to the gym, staring at the weight rack, and just flapping my arms and my legs wildly in the air and wiping the imaginary sweat off my brow and like, wow, I had such a great workout. Do you even lift? Nah, you don't even lift at all. So this adapted Kegel, when it was put into play, immediately 50% of the success dropped, fell right out of the bottom. And it's been tanking ever since. And this is why you and 50% of the women that you know have, or more actually, have some kind of pelvic floor disorder. And the stats are really shocking. Up to 60% of women have urinary incontinence issues, meaning they involuntarily leak urine when they're coughing or they're exercising or they're laughing. And 50% of women experience some kind of pelvic organ prolapse after childbirth. And these are stats from Yale University School of Medicine. So this is really, this is, really bad. And these stats are insane. They're telling us that every other woman has some kind of pelvic floor disorder and that this is somehow considered normal. So for years, women would come to me in my practice and confess shamefully that their Kegels just didn't work for them because they thought there was something wrong with them. They thought they were the only ones, but they weren't. And after hearing this over and over again, I realized these things aren't working for anyone, including me. I had done them, they never worked for me. But the difference with me is that I found something else, which I'll get to in a moment. So I remember being interviewed by a woman a few years ago, and she was saying to me that she had birthed her son, who is now 8, and she was confessing that she had issues with urinary incontinence. And she said, but I don't feel bad about it because I know it's normal. And I was like, hey, hang on. Okay, that's not normal. That's been normalized, but it's not normal. So women peeing their pants throughout the day and having their vaginas fall out is not normal. My argument of what's normal, what ought to be the healthy baseline for every vagina on the planet, is someone who can shoot ping pong balls and open beer bottles and smoke cigarettes. Not that you should really smoke cigarettes, but you know what I mean. That kind of dexterity. That is normal. This is in the realm of possible for every single vagina on the planet. So, returning to our useless Kegels. Kegel had it right the first time. You need to be practicing with feedback and resistance. The idea of vaginal weight training is actually a 5,000-year-old practice from ancient Taoist China. You may by now have heard about these infamous jade or yoni eggs. They're very beautiful. They're everywhere. They were even on Conan O'Brien a few months ago as a guest appearance. So women insert this drilled jade egg. It's got a hole drilled through it. You put a string through it, and then you can tie any number of objects to the end of it, like teapots, lemons, and Cristiano Ronaldo. And so this strengthening creates an articulate, sensitive, and powerful vagina, just like the good doctor originally intended. These jade yoni eggs have become so popular in the last few years because they actually provide results. And as crystals, they have the additional benefit of being able to provide healing. They absorb trauma, they absorb toxins, they rebalance hormones, and clear out your whole reproductive area. So both physically, energetically, hormonally, you can rebalance yourself and become more in tune with your vital, creative, life force energy. It's like yoga for your vagina. So if you'd like to learn more about these beautiful little jade eggs and how to strengthen your pelvic floor, including an exercise you can practice tonight even without the egg, check out my free video series on vaginal kung fu. And you can get your brand new vagina today.